Horror has been one of the biggest selling genres in Hollywood history, but the actors that have brought those stories to life are just as legendary in most cases. What are your favorite horror movies? While you answer that, I'm Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now, and this is the top 10 horror film stars. Number 10, Bruce Campbell. In 1979, friends Sam Raimi, Rob Tapert, and Bruce Campbell raised $350,000 for a low-budget film titled The Evil Dead, with Bruce starring as the movie's cowardly hero Ash Williams, and the rest is history. The Evil Dead went on to have two more sequels, Evil Dead 2, where he became slightly more heroic, and then Army of Darkness, where he was a full-on action hero and lover boy. He and director Sam Raimi have had a long history of collaboration, which is hilariously on display in almost every movie Sam has directed. Bruce Campbell is one of horror's greatest actors because he starred in one of the only franchises that actually got better as it went on, and even to this day is still adding to itself with the Ash and the Evil Dead TV show and even a video game. Number 9, Brad Dourif. Brad Dourif's performance as the voice of Chucky in the Child's Play franchise, spanning 7 feature films and a TV series, is the staple of the haunted doll horror archetype. His portrayal of Billy Bibbit in 1975's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest earned him a Golden Globe and an Oscar nomination. From that performance, he moved on to getting a ton of roles in films like 1979's Wise Blood, David Lynch's 1984 Dune movie, and 1986's Blue Velvet, all before landing the voice of Chucky in 1988's Child's Play. Dourif has appeared in many other important horror films, including Body Parts, Trauma, and The Exorcist No. 3, but he has obviously performed outside of the horror genre as well. Notably, he was in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings epic trilogy. He is continuing to work to this day in TV and film, including the Chucky TV series. Whoa! Hold up there, horror connoisseurs. Make sure you slap that like button to let us know that this is the content you want to see. Really helps us out. Thanks. And with that, on to number 8, Sarah Michelle Gellar. Sarah Michelle Gellar was a prominent star in the 90s and 2000s thanks to TV, especially with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but also in large part to her roles in horror movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream 2, and I think it's worth mentioning Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. And that's all before she starred in the American versions of the Grudge franchise and other films including Veronica Decides to Die. She primarily found her groove with TV gigs such as Ringer and The Crazy Ones, but she also lent her voice to characters on Robot Chicken and American Dad. She co-founded the cooking company Food Stirs in 2015 and authored a cookbook, Stirring Up Fun with Food, in 2017. In July 2022, Gellar announced that she would return to the TV in the Paramount Plus show Wolfpack. Gellar shares a daughter Charlotte and son Rocky with husband Freddie Prinze Jr. Number 7, Jamie Lee Curtis. Curtis was only 19 years old when she played Laurie Strode, the last girl standing, in 1978's Halloween. Other than Halloween and its sequels, Curtis also starred in horror films like The Fog and Prom Night, but outside of specifically horror, Curtis has maintained a long and successful Hollywood career with movies like Trading Places and A Fish Called Wanda, and not to mention starring in 1994's True Lies. She's also had recurring roles on wildly popular TV shows like NCIS and New Girl. Along with acting, Curtis has also written a bunch of children's books, including Today I Feel Silly and Other Moods That Make My Day. She reprised the role of Laurie in 2018's Halloween, 2021's Halloween Kills, and 2022's Halloween Ends. She's easily one of my favorite actresses and has most recently had awesome roles in 2019's Knives Out, 2022's Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she is going to be in 2022's Borderlands movie when that comes out. Number 6, Sigourney Weaver. Sigourney Weaver became a huge star in both the horror genre and the sci-fi genre in one go when she played the xenomorph fighting Ellen Ripley in the Alien series starting in 1979. Unlike many other female horror stars, Sigourney was no scream queen. Thanks to Alien, Sigourney became a a star through the 80s, into the 90s, and straight on to this day with a bunch of hits and critically acclaimed movies. Ghostbusters in 1984 and Gorillas in the Mist in 1988, Aliens in 1986, Copycat in 1995, Galaxy Quest in 1999, Holes in 2003, Avatar in 2009, The Cabin in the Woods in 2011, and not to mention tons of TV and narrating roles as well. She is set to be in The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart, which is a TV series she also produced, and also Avatar: The Way of Water later this year. Tony Todd. Tony Todd's turn as Candyman, an urban legend that haunts Chicago's Cabrini Green housing project, is wildly menacing and among the greatest horror performances ever. Across 4 entries in the Candyman franchise, the actor has made horror history, earning a rightful place for his character. Before Candyman in 1992, Todd also starred in 1990 Night of the Living Dead remake, not to mention having recurring roles in Star Trek: The Next Generation. But since Candyman, he has been an incredibly consistently working actor. Like, of everyone on this list, he might have the most credits. It's actually kind of insane. This dude's got 15 projects in the works right now. Throughout his career, Todd has portrayed both heroes and villains and everything in between, taking great care to fully devote himself to his performances and showcase a wide breadth of complex characters. Todd's boldness and commitment to his craft are incredibly influential, leading the way for modern day horror makers like Jordan Peele and Nia DaCosta. Number 4. Robert Englund. Robert Englund is best known for his representation of the Claude serial killer and king of the dream world, Freddy Krueger, in Wes Craven's smash 1984 horror movie A Nightmare on Elm Street. Thanks to his portrayal of Freddy, Englund's name has become closely linked with the most popular and well-known monster actors in history. He has been in so much horror, it's almost mind-boggling, but it's always fun because he will just show up as these somewhat smaller character roles where you like double take and you're like, wait a minute, I know that guy. He appeared in some other horrors of note, including The Mangler and a remake of The Phantom of the Opera that's not actually a musical but is actually really good. You should check it out. He was also in 2001's Maniacs. Most recently and prominently though, he was actually in Stranger Things playing the character of Victor Creel. Just like Tony Todd, he has an incredibly huge list of credits which for Robert goes back all the way to 1974. But of all his characters, Freddy Krueger remains the most well known. Number 3. Peter Cushing. Peter Cushing is an acting legend. To name some of his bigger roles, he played Victor Frankenstein in 1957's Frankenstein, Van Helsing in Horror of Dracula and The Brides of Dracula, Sherlock Holmes in The Hound of the Baskervilles, John Banning in The Mummy, Dr. John Rollison in The Abominable Snowman. He played Doctor Who in 1965's Doctor Who and the Daleks, and 1966's Daleks: An Invasion of Earth 2150 AD, and obviously he played Grand Moff Tarkin in the original Star Wars. His resume also extended well into stage work, audiobooks, and various other art forms. He was an incredible actor and patron of the arts all the way up until his passing in 1994. Number 2. Sir Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee has been in 266 films since 1948, starting off as the face of Hammer's horror movies. His most recognizable role for the studio was as Count Dracula, which he played 10 times since 1957. But he also portrayed Frankenstein's monster and The Mummy. Not to mention, he was also the star of The Devil Rides Out, Horror Express, and The Wicker Man. When he passed away in 2015 at 93 years old, his most cited characters were Saruman from the Lord of the Rings movies or Count Dooku from the Star Wars movies, but that may only be because his career has been so long and successful that his most iconic horror roles that launched his career and helped shape the second wave of horror films have fallen into history in his wake. Number 1. Boris Karloff. Along with fellow actors Lon Chaney, Bela Lugosi, and Vincent Price, Boris Karloff is recognized as one of the true icons of horror cinema. Although he's best known for playing Frankenstein's monster in James Whale's Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, he actually starred in quite a few Universal monster films like The Mummy, The Old Dark House, and The Mask of Fu Manchu. Karloff often worked with fellow horror icon Bela Lugosi, the icon behind Dracula, in movies like The Black Cat, The Raven, The Invisible Ray, Prey, Black Friday, and The Body Snatchers. Boris passed away in 1969, and he's in at number 1 because if it wasn't for him and other actors of this time, we would not have horror movies as we know them today. That is all the time I have for you right now. I've been Adam Andrews with Where Are They Now? Ta-ta and farewell.